When the kidnapper's GPS ping landed on my old cul-de-sac, the street where I learned to ride a bike and buried a time capsule in a coffee can, I thought the system glitched. Then the arrow recalculated, spun once, and settled on a blue I knew better than my own badge number. My childhood home. If you're listening to this, hit subscribe and tell me what city you're watching from. I need to know how far this kind of thing travels. Because the night I followed a dangerous criminal signal back to the house where I grew up, I found out the past doesn't stay buried, it waits. I'm Officer Daniel Reyes, 12 years in, 3 commendations, 1 divorce, and a desk chair that leans left because I lean right. We'd been hunting a crew that specialized in fast burglaries with surgical timing. 30 seconds breach to exit, like they trained on a stopwatch. They lifted pharmaceuticals, jewelry, and something uglier last night, a 7-year-old named Lily from a corner pharmacy while her mother was signing for antibiotics. The suspect's SUV was caught on a traffic cam 2 blocks east. We got a partial plate and a fragment of the dash GPS bouncing between cell towers. The kidnapper wasn't a ghost. He just wanted us to think he was. Dispatch gave me the trace while I was still shrugging into my plate carrier. Reyes, Tracker One's got a live feed from a snatched tablet in the vehicle. He's mirroring directions. Looks like he's running a preset route. Preset routes don't double back, I said, grabbing my radio and my sidearm. Send it to my MDT. The map blinked alive. The line ran like a vein through the city, industrial to stadium, stadium to river, river to a cross street I knew as well as every scar on my knuckles. Larkspur. Then Hawthorne. Then the cul-de-sac with the maple tree my mom swore was going to crack the foundation someday. Must be spoofed, Martinez said, sliding into the passenger seat. She's my partner, steady hands, drier humor than a boneyard. No one's dumb enough to drag a kidnapping to a residential dead end. You haven't met my family, I said, and regretted it. Jokes land different when the air tastes like adrenaline. We rolled fast but quiet. No lights, no siren, just the churn of tires and the sound of my heart trying to punch out of my ribs. The MDT chirped as the tablet updated. ETA 7 minutes, the synthetic voice announced like this was a food delivery. The SUV ahead of us in the cam feed had a broken left taillight. I remembered the way glass looks when it explodes. Soft glitter in your hair and then the sting. My mind kept jumping tracks. The case, the kid, the house, my father's voice telling me to stop scraping my shoes on the door jamb. I hadn't been back there in 15 years. Not since the night we packed while Dad watched the window and Mom told me we were going on an adventure. Adventure meant eviction that time. The Maple's roots had finally cracked the foundation, and the landlord decided our family had done the cracking. Talk to me, Danny, Martinez said softly. Your pupils are doing the samba. I grew up on that street, I said. If this guy picked it for a dead drop, he knows something about me. Or about the house. Or it's random, she said. We'll treat it like it's not. We cut through Riverside, past the diner where my high school job died with my patience for greasy uniforms. The map pulsed again. The route didn't change. Every block we drove, my memory filled in the topography, the cracked sidewalk where I split my chin, the stoop where I kissed someone I shouldn't have, the hydrant we painted blue until the city painted it yellow again. The brain loves a loop. It calls it closure. But closure isn't what we found. Units 7 and 12 are en route to perimeter, dispatch said. Choppers 20 out. Be advised, suspect has a history of violence. Prior in Nevada, assault with a deadly weapon. Copy, I said. We're 2 out. Keep chatter minimal. Minimal's not your style, Martinez muttered. She checked her rifle, then the mirror. If this is a trap. It's a good one, I finished. We turned onto Larkspur. The street lamps were weak, the kind that make shadows thicker, not thinner. Some houses glowed from inside. Others looked like busted teeth. At the end, Hawthorne curved into the cul-de-sac like a question mark. And there it was, 112 Hawthorne, the address that used to be written inside my library books. The stoop was the same. The maple was taller, older, angrier. The porch light was off. A padlock hung on the front gate like a warning, or a dare. The MDT pinged. Destination reached, it said cheerfully. The blue dot rested on the front room window, The one that used to be my bedroom before my parents swapped rooms so my father could sleep closer to the front door in case. A phrase that covered every kind of danger and none. Plate? I asked. Camera picked up the suspect vehicle last on Juniper, then nothing, Martinez said. Tracker shows stationary. If he's inside, he left on foot or killed the tablet's feed. The radio crackled. Unit 9, show position. End of Hawthorne, I said. Setting inner perimeter. I need the units to stagger off Hawthorne onto Larkspur and Juniper. No engines. No chatter. We have a child possibly inside. Copy 9. Martinez caught my sleeve. Danny. You good? I looked past her at the window where we kept a crooked paper star every December. I wasn't good. I was a human tripwire. But the kid was the thing. It's always the kid. On me, I said. We slipped through the side gate. Hinges sang, loud, rusty, too much history in the song. I winced and eased it back. The backyard was smaller than I remembered. The shed leaned like it wanted to lie down. I could still feel the dirt under my nails from digging for the time capsule, a Maxwell House can with a Hot Wheels car and a note that said, "Do not open until you are brave." I had opened it the week we left, just to make sure bravery was a real thing you could hold. I swept the beam along the kitchen door. New lock. New screws. No pry marks. Martinez pointed to the weather strip. It had been cut raggedly. Someone cared about not leaving a neat line. Someone who'd done this fast. I pressed my ear to the wood. The heartbeat in there was mine. Then I heard it. A small, watery sound. Could have been pipes. Could have been a kid trying not to cry. LAPD, Martinez whispered without thinking, then grimaced. Old habits from a lateral. City police, she corrected. Too late for the ghosts. Do we breach? She asked. Not yet, I said. He brought us here on purpose. He wants us on this turf. Maybe he wanted you. The thought settled like ash. My neck prickled the way it does when you know a sniper might be reading your thoughts through glass. I tapped my radio twice, the signal for hold traffic, and texted dispatch on the MDT, possible tactical lure. Child sound heard. Request K9 rear entry. Breach hold 90 SEC. Martinez's gaze flicked to the upstairs window, my parents' old room. A sliver of reflection shifted. Not a person. A mirror. Tilted. Or a lens. Front, she mouthed. Negative, I mouthed back. He expects front. I moved along the wall. My palm brushed the siding, splinters like old rumors. The kitchen window had a hairline crack like a vein under skin. I eased my flashlight off. Darkness is honest. It tells you when you're blind. Footsteps whispered on the other side of the door. Not heavy. Measured. The kind that don't creak stairs because they know which boards to miss. My boards. Then a voice from inside, too calm, too close to where my pillow used to be. Daniel, it said. You took long enough. Daniel, the voice said again, almost affectionate. You took long enough. Martinez's eyes cut to mine. I held up one finger, stall, then pointed to my ear. She thumbed the radio to mute and eased to the corner where she could see the side yard and the kitchen door at once. Let me hear the girl, I said through the wood. My voice sounded calm. My ribs felt like they were shrinking. A pause, the hush of someone thinking about power, then a small voice, trembly and high and trying to be brave because that's what cartoons teach you. I'm okay, Lily whispered, like she was practicing being okay. A muffled noise, cloth on plastic, then the man again. Holster, no radio, no partner, he said. Kitchen door. You come in alone, we talk. You bring your shadow, the girl stops being okay. He didn't yell. He didn't posture. The dangerous ones don't have to. I angled the mic inside my collar and clicked twice. I heard the child. Martinez's jaw flexed. She clicked once back. Copy. Her hand showed me the clock. 90 seconds until K9 hits the gate. I shook my head. Hold. Body cam stays on, I said, because policy likes to be invited to criminal negotiations. You can leave it on, he said, amusement licking the edges. I put tape over the lens when I took your picture. The cold that moved sideways slid down my neck. "You took my picture." "In the parking lot," he said. "You blinked at the sodium light and thought about coffee. 12 years, 3 commendations. You sleep with the TV on but the sound off. Your dad hated noise." Martinez watched my face like she was reading a bomb timer. I exhaled slow. "You did homework." "I went home," he said. "Come in, Daniel, before your city learns what grief sounds like at 7. I holstered, locked my radio to transmit mute, and texted the MDT with my thumb. "I go in on verbal. Breach on code phrase. Blue hydrant. Girl close. Expect mirrors/lens." The screen returned a tiny OK. The tiny OK looked like a dare. I slid the deadbolt and pushed. The kitchen smelled like old linoleum and lemon oil. The kind of clean you do when you want to erase other people. The kind of clean my mother did the night before inspections. My feet remembered which tiles whined. I stepped around them. A coffee can sat on the counter. Maxwell House, red, dented on the seam like it had been pried from roots. My stomach dropped. "Welcome back," the man called, closer now. "I left you something." I lifted the lid. Inside, a plastic bag. Inside the bag, a Hot Wheels car, metal chipped to gray, and a folded note, edges browned. The handwriting was a kid's because it was mine. "Do not open until you are brave." Under it, fresh ink in someone else's hand. "Brave enough to come alone." The kitchen light was off, but the hall hummed. Not electricity. A low machine sound, like a portable air purifier. My eyes adjusted. Mirrors at angles along the hallway walls, sheets of cheap mylar taped to doors, turning a simple corner into a periscope maze. He could see me from anywhere if he understood the angles. This was a house for seeing without being seen. I kept my hands visible, fingers open. "You picked a shrine," I said, stepping past the doorway where we'd kept a chipped bookshelf. The bookshelf was gone. In its place, a child's backpack with unicorn glitter leaned against the baseboard, zipper half open. A pharmacy bag with Lily's name printed on the label lay on its side, empty. A princess sneaker sat like punctuation. "You picked the shrine," he said. "I picked the map. We met at the intersection." "Why here?" I asked. "Why me?" "You'll get there," he said. "Left." I turned left. The dining room was a photograph of a dining room. Table, 2 chairs, nothing else. A pendulum clock with no pendulum, ticking anyway. My father hated clocks. He said time is a bully. My throat tightened and I hated that it did. "There were easier houses," I said, to keep the air moving. "Quicker routes." "You like quick." "I like meaning," he said. "Quick is a tool. Meaning is the job." "You talk like a pastor," I said. "My father hated noise," he said softly, and I had to close my eyes. Somewhere in the house, a board let out a soft complaint. Upstairs. Martinez, I thought, or wind, or memory. I kept moving, past the arch into the living room. Someone had nailed a bedsheet over the front window and cut a peephole the size of a dime. The couch was gone. The wall where we marked our heights with pencil was still faint under fresh paint. A rectangle darker than the rest told me a picture had hung there recently and been removed. The outline fit the size of the only family portrait we ever took at a mall. I wondered where he'd put it. "Let me see Lily," I said. "If she's okay, I'll keep playing." He laughed once. "I don't want you to play. I want you to listen." "To what?" I asked. "To what you missed," he said. "Right." Right was the hallway to bedrooms. I kept my pace steady. The first door was the bathroom. The mirror had been removed. The glass shelf was gone. A toothbrush in a plastic sleeve sat alone like a prop. I glanced down. The bath mat had a weight stitched in to keep it from slipping. Threads of fishing line disappeared under it, coming from the hallway. I ignored them, stepped over. "I'm not here to be clever with string," he said, hearing my pause, feeling my thinking speed up. "I'm here to fix a headline." "Kidnapped child rescued after tense standoff," I said. "That headline." "Officer finally hears what his house was saying," he said. "Door at the end." "My old room." My hand hovered where doorknobs make grooves in paint. I pushed with the flat of my palm. The door swung, and with it a little bell somewhere low chimed once. Charm, not alarm, except alarms live in nerves too. The room was smaller than a memory allows. No bed. A folding chair in the corner. A portable air purifier hummed on the floor, as if the air had stories it needed to clean. The closet door was closed. It had a broom handle through the latch, lodged into two hastily drilled holes, not to keep someone out, to keep someone in. "Daniel," the voice said from everywhere, or from the vent, "put your gun in the sink." I looked at the closet, the broom handle, the little bit of light at the bottom. Dust motes drifted like lazy planets. I thought of 7-year-old lungs, the way they hitch when fear tries to live in them. The air purifier clicked up a notch. "Gun stays where it is," I said. "You want to move pieces, show me your hands." He'd sked, gentle. "You were always a stubborn kid. Ask your mother's doorframe." "You watched," I said. It was easier to talk than to feel the old house rearranging the furniture in my chest. "From where?" "From the window of a sedan with a towel folded over the steering wheel," he said. "From a porch across the street with a newspaper that wasn't mine. From the room that used to be yours." I felt him then, like a pressure change. "Front of the house." He wanted me tethered here while he watched my partner move. He wanted to split us. "Martinez," I said, and turned my head like I was talking to a ghost. "Did you see the blue hydrant they finally painted yellow?" Her reply would blow the plan, so there was no reply, which was the reply. I took one step toward the closet. The broom handle had been wedged in hard. The holes smoked a little from fast drilling, or my eyes made smoke to have something to blame. "You open that, we stop being polite," he said. "We already stopped," I said, and pulled the handle. The closet door flexed, caught. I yanked. The stick snapped free. The door jumped open an inch and something thudded inside. "Daniel," Martinez hissed in my ear, "close now, not on radio." She had ghosted the stairs. "Back wall vent," she breathed. "Lily's feet. She's tied but breathing." I angled my light low through the crack. 2 sneakers, the match to the one in the hall, curled against a Rubbermaid tub. A little leg twitch. Sound came out of me I didn't recognize. Relief borrowed grief's voice sometimes. "Hi, Lily," I said, like we were in a library. "You're doing so good. I'm going to open this and you're going to see my light, okay?" A muffled yes. The rope had done the thing rope does, tried to make circles permanent. I slid my long cutter from my vest. My gun stayed holstered. I didn't look at the mirror in the corner pretending to be a shadow. I didn't look at the vent that breathed like a person. "Now," the man said, voice harder in the duct. "Holster on the floor. Kick it to the bathroom. Body cam off. Or I cough the room. The purifier. Not cleaning. Carrying. Aerosol. What's in the unit?" I asked, slow. "Pepper. Ammonia. Sleep," he said. "The kind that writes headlines you won't like. She'll keep breathing, just less." I flicked the cutter closed and opened my hand like surrender was a language I spoke. "I'm putting the gun down," I said, and crouched as if I was setting it by my boot because the floor and I had an old agreement. As my palm dropped, my other hand slid the micro-cutter into the closet crack and kissed the rope with steel. One strand parted, then another. The air in the room held its breath. Martinez had a bead from the hallway. I could feel her focus like heat. "To the bathroom," he said. "Kick." I nudged the holster. It scraped. Sound big in a small room. The kind of sound that makes men push buttons. The purifier whirred higher. Martinez murmured, "Up vent, left loft," so soft it was a thought more than words. Attic crawlspace above the hall. He was above us, welding meaning to vantage. "Tell me the headline you want," I said, keeping my voice in the space between us. "That you understood," he said. "That you remembered the thing your father made you forget." "My father forgot plenty without help," I said. One more strand cut. I felt Lily's foot press against my wrist like a bird testing a branch. "Blue hydrant," I said louder, like a bad storyteller repeating a punchline, and that was the go. The back door blew like a cough. K9 thundered a warning that wasn't a bark so much as a decision. The hall erupted in the clatter of boots and a ladder slamming against plaster. The purifier's pitch peaked. A panel in the hallway ceiling flipped like a coin. I saw a hand, pale in dust, withdraw. I lunged, yanked the closet door wide, and dragged Lily into the smell of old lemon and new fear. Her eyes were huge, the color of the river at dusk. "Close your eyes," I told her, and had to grin at the impossibility. The attic access crashed. Martinez went up like a ghost turned into a hammer. Wood cracked. The purifier choked and stopped. The air went still enough to hear the clock with no pendulum bully the room again. "Daniel," the man called from above us now, a new distance in his voice. 15 years, and you still don't listen." "I listened," I said, tucking Lily under my vest like I could be a shield and a door. "I just didn't obey." A foot scuffed. Dust haloed down in slow motion. Martinez fired a single less lethal thump into the crawlspace, a beanbag round that made a sound like a body learning a lesson. Something toppled. Something else didn't. A second voice I hadn't planned for whispered from the vent, smaller than the first, the shape of a boy who grew up and never stopped. "He said your dad kept a key where the maple meets the foundation. He said you'd remember." My mouth went dry. The roots had cracked more than concrete. They'd offered a hiding place. My father had called it insurance. I'd called it a secret. The man had dug up my past like a coffee can. He'd found a key. He'd let himself in. And he was still inside. ChatGPT said. The thump from the beanbag round rattled the ceiling plaster, but the man didn't fall. He moved like a rat that had memorized rafters, dragging his weight sideways through the crawlspace. Martinez climbed fast, but every creak overhead told me he was ahead by 3 steps, maybe 4. Lily's fingers dug into my vest collar. Her breath was hot against my neck, uneven but alive. "Stay low," I whispered to her, already shifting my stance to shield her from the vents. "Eyes closed until I say otherwise." The purifier sat on the floor like a bomb with its throat cut. I kicked it once. A rattle of canisters rolled inside the casing. Not cheap, pharma-grade dispersal units. He wasn't bluffing. He'd prepped this place like an altar. Martinez's voice came through the ceiling. "Crawl ends at attic vent over the maple. He's moving for the drop." Of course he was. That tree had been my escape route as a kid, strong limb brushing the roofline. My father caught me once, asked if I wanted to break my neck. I said yes, because I was 9. The man upstairs was planning the same exit, older, heavier, but desperate, gave people wings. "Perimeter, lock that tree," I barked into radio. "East flank, taser ready." Static, then, "Copy. We've got the trunk." Lily tugged my shirt. "Is he gone?" "Not yet," I said, crouching to meet her eyes. "But you are safe. Understand? Safe." Her nod was tiny, her mouth set in a line that belonged on a soldier, not a child. I passed her to Officer Green, who slid through the back door with K9 snapping at his lead. Green cradled her away, whispering like he was the uncle every kid deserves. The house exhaled once without her in it. My chest loosened and then tightened again, because she'd been the bait, not the target. I was the target. He'd made that clear. Dust cascaded from the ceiling. A vent cover clattered open. I signaled Martinez. She swung her light up just as the man's face ghosted the edge. Pale skin, shaved head, eyes sharp as nails. He didn't flinch from the beam. He smiled. "You still don't remember, Daniel," he called. "But you will." Then he kicked the vent screen out and slid onto the maple limb like he'd rehearsed it. Branches shook, bark splintered, and he dropped 10 feet into a hedge, rolling once before sprinting for the cul-de-sac. Units surged. Shouts cracked the night. Tires screeched as a black sedan roared to life at the far curb. "Vehicle!" Dispatch shouted. Heading southbound Juniper, 2 occupants visible. Martinez vaulted down, landing like her knees didn't know math. "We moving." "We move," I said, already pulling us toward the door. The living room shadows dragged behind us like hands trying to hold me in. I didn't look back. The house had said enough. We burst out into the cul-de-sac. The sedan fishtailed, engine growling, taillights screaming red. Our nearest unit clipped its bumper with a pit attempt but lost traction on the wet asphalt. The sedan straightened, rocketed away. I shoved Martinez toward our cruiser. "Go!" she yelled, slamming her door as I gunned it. We hit Juniper with tires wailing. The sedan swerved through traffic, deliberate but messy, like someone testing how long physics would forgive them. I called it in. Unit 9 in pursuit, southbound Juniper, black four-door sedan, partial plate Bravo, 7, kilo. 2 occupants. Suspect is our primary. Martinez was already logging dashcam. He's got a driver. Whoever's been covering him. Or he's been covering them, I muttered. Look at the way it moves. That driver knows the grid. The sedan cut left onto Sycamore, narrow and dark. I followed, siren low. The street was lined with chain-link fences and forgotten basketball hoops. At the corner, a school loomed, my old elementary. The place where I lost 2 teeth and learned to run faster than bullies. My stomach dropped again. He was tracing my childhood like it was a treasure map. Not random, Martinez said grimly. He's dragging us through your past. The sedan blew through the crosswalk and screeched onto Alder. We were half a block back. Dispatch's voice cracked in my ear. Chopper 5 out, ETA 3 minutes. Perimeter units shifting. Keep them tight, I ordered. He's not running blind. He's staging something. Martinez studied the street feed. Passenger's head just turned back. He's checking us, not panicking. He's counting seconds. He's counting on me, I said, and my grip tightened until the wheel creaked. We tailed him past shuttered stores and graffiti-tagged warehouses. He could have bolted for the freeway, but he didn't. He was circling the city's bones, my bones. Places where I'd bled, fought, grown. He was forcing me to relive them at 60 miles an hour. At Oak and Vine, he tossed something from the passenger window. A boxy shape clattered, sparked, then exploded in a shower of nails and glass marbles. My windshield cracked with the scatter. I swerved hard, tires chewing gravel. Martinez ducked, cursed. Behind us, a pursuing unit blew a tire and slammed into a parked truck. Sirens wailed in pain. "Spike box," Martinez said. "Homemade caltrop rig." "Meaning he planned this chase," I snapped. "Every street, every turn." The sedan shot through a red, clipping a delivery van. Metal screamed. Sparks fanned. He didn't slow. My knuckles were white fire on the wheel. "Where does he end it?" I muttered. Martinez glanced at the GPS trace on the MDT. The line coiled ahead like a snake. "Daniel, if he stays on this course." I didn't need her to finish. The line bent south toward another address etched into my memory with the permanence of scar tissue, 841 Mason Street. The Foster House. The place we landed after eviction, the place I swore I'd never see again. He was stitching my past into a net and dragging me straight into it. I swallowed rage like broken glass. He wants me cornered in memory. Not tonight. "Then we cut him off," Martinez said. "Think like him. If he wants you boxed, don't play his box." I slammed the wheel right, peeling off Sycamore. Martinez's eyes widened. "We're breaking pursuit. We're making him break cover," I said. "He thinks I'll follow the breadcrumbs. We'll circle wide, pin him at Mason before he writes the ending." I keyed the radio. "All units, he's staging at Mason Street. Suspect will expect me direct. Break grid, converge on Mason perimeter. Chopper, eyes on Mason. Static. Then, copy. Units diverting." The sedan's taillights vanished around a bend. My chest was a drumline. Martinez checked her mag, then checked me. You realize if you're wrong, he vanishes with his driver. "If I'm right," I said, "he's about to find out I don't read from his script." The night spread wide, the streets narrow, every turn smelling like ghosts. Ahead, Mason Street waited with its peeling paint and its locked doors. The man was waiting too, and he wasn't running anymore. He was welcoming me home. Mason Street hadn't changed. The same sagging porches, the same boarded windows. Even the same half-dead elm leaning over the sidewalk like it wanted to give up. Our headlights carved the gloom, sweeping across cracked steps where I once sat with knees scabbed and fists clenched, swearing I'd never be weak again. Now I was back, chasing a criminal who thought my memories were ammunition. "Choppers overhead," dispatch said. Rotor thunder cut through the quiet neighborhood. Thermal shows 2 signatures moving fast, East End Mason. Possible sedan parked behind 841. My throat tightened. The Foster house. Its outline grew from shadow, roofline bent with rot, shutters hanging like broken eyelids. I could smell the mildew from here, even with the windows rolled. Memories don't die. They ferment. Martinez leaned forward, eyes scanning rooftops. Back doors open. No lights. "That's your suspect's nest. Units," I radioed, "converge north and south alleys, form containment. K9 hold until breach." My voice sounded steady. My hands told a different story, slick on the wheel. We rolled to a stop half a block down. I killed the lights. Martinez checked her rifle. Her voice was calm, but her jaw was tight. "If he knows this place, he's staged it. You ready?" I looked at the sagging porch of 841, the way the boards bowed where 10 kids had lined up for roll call every morning. A memory flickered, cold cereal, a shouted name, the sting of a belt. I swallowed it back. "I'm ready." We advanced low, the crunch of gravel underfoot loud in the hush. The sedan crouched behind the house, black paint absorbing moonlight. Engine still warm, hood ticking. 2 doors open. Empty. "He's inside," Martinez whispered. The back door yawned wide. Hinges had been oiled. No creak. Intentional. A welcome mat that wasn't welcoming. I signaled with 2 fingers. "You left me right." She nodded, slipping along the siding. My own shadow stretched long, twitching like it wanted to bolt. Inside, the air was thick, stale with mold and rat droppings. My flashlight beam sliced through dust motes. The kitchen hadn't changed much. Same yellow linoleum, same cracked counter. But the table gone. In its place sat another purifier, silent, unplugged. A reminder. "Clear," Martinez whispered from the pantry. We moved deeper. The hallway yawned ahead, narrow as a throat. Doors gaped open. A child's laugh echoed faintly, canned and tinny. I froze. It wasn't real. A recording. "Speaker system," Martinez murmured, pointing up. Tiny black dots drilled into corners, Bluetooth speakers. He'd seeded the house with sound. The laugh cut off. A man's voice filled the hall, amplified and wrong. "Welcome home, Daniel. Room 3, right? That's where they kept you. Second on the left." My stomach twisted. He was right. I hated that he was right. We edged forward, beams searching. Room 1, empty, walls tagged with graffiti. Room 2, bare mattress, rotting. Room 3, the door was shut. A heavy padlock gleamed in the center, new metal against old paint. "Locked from the outside," Martinez whispered. "That's not containment. That's theater." The speaker hissed. "Open it, Daniel. See what's waiting." I crouched, inspecting the lock. Too clean. No dust on the shackle. Recently placed. I tugged lightly. The door moved a fraction. It wasn't latched from the inside. The padlock was a prop. "Trap," I muttered. Martinez's eyes scanned the seams. A faint wire ran from the hinge into the wall. She mouthed, "Tripwire." I stood slowly. "Nice try," I said aloud, my voice steady for him. "But I don't open doors I didn't close." His laugh rolled through the speakers, warm and wrong. "You're learning. That's good. That means we can play the next game." A clatter from upstairs. Boots on wood. We swung our lights up the stairwell. Shadows retreated, quick and practiced. Martinez raised her rifle, finger tight on the trigger. "He's pulling us up." The speaker whispered again. "Come upstairs, Daniel. Your past is waiting in the attic." Of course it was. That's where we used to hide, where I carved my initials into a beam. My chest thudded with the memory of heat, dust, and whispered plans of escape. He knew all of it. Or he'd studied it until it felt like knowing. I keyed the mic, Unit 12, moved to front porch. Suspect drawing upstairs. Watch the roofline. Copy, came the reply. Martinez glanced at me. We don't follow his script. We don't, I agreed. But we couldn't ignore it either. If he'd staged the attic, there was a reason. We ascended, slow and deliberate. Each step creaked like a gunshot. Upstairs, the hall stretched narrow, doors on either side. At the far end, the attic pull-down ladder gaped open. A rope hung from it, swaying gently. Dust drifted down. Flashbang. Martinez asked. Not yet, I said. He wants the noise. We give him quiet. We advanced, beams probing. Room to the left, empty except for a chair facing the wall. On the wall, taped photographs. My school photo at 8, grinning with 2 teeth missing. My police academy graduation, clipped from a newspaper. My divorce filing, photocopied. He'd built a gallery of me. Martinez hissed through her teeth. He's been watching for years. I forced my gaze away. Right-hand room, empty except for a single mattress with a recorder on it, red light blinking. I stepped closer. Pressed play. A child's voice, my own, from decades ago. Don't let them hit me again. Please. My knees nearly buckled. I slammed the recorder off. Daniel, Martinez said softly. Not pity, just grounding. I nodded once, shoved the storm back down. At the ladder, we paused. I tilted my light up. Attic beams, dust, insulation torn. No movement. But the rope swayed, slow and deliberate, like a pendulum. A taunt. Perimeter, I radioed, voice low. Any eyes on the roof? Negative, came the reply. Thermal lost him in the attic. Lost. My chest burned. He wasn't gone. He was here. He was making us choose. Martinez pointed to the closet door under the stairs. A faint draft whispered from it. She mouthed, basement. I nodded. He wanted us up. So we'd go down. I twisted the knob. The door creaked open to a staircase vanishing into darkness. The smell hit me, damp earth, mold, and gasoline. My stomach clenched. He'd prepped it, maybe wired it. But if he was anywhere, it was where the air was worst. Basement, I whispered into the radio. Stack ready. We descended, every step groaning. The beam of my light caught metal cans, rows of them. Gasoline. A dozen, maybe more. And in the center, a chair. Empty. A recorder strapped to it. The red light blinked again. I pressed play. His voice filled the basement, rich with triumph. Every corner of your past, Daniel, every room you thought you left behind, I've built them for you. But there's one you haven't entered yet. The one with the truth. The recorder clicked off. Then the hiss of a match. A small flame flared in the corner, licking the rim of a gas can. My heart seized. Fire! Martinez shouted. I dove, kicking the can. The flame sputtered, skittered across the wet floor. Gasoline splashed, burning in streaks. Heat roared up. The basement became a furnace. We scrambled back up the stairs, choking on smoke. Flames chased us. The house groaned like it remembered every hurt it had held. Outside, units shouted, hoses uncoiled, water thundered against siding. We burst out the back door as the fire ate through the floorboards. The night air slapped my face. My lungs screamed for it. Martinez coughed, eyes streaming. He staged it. He wanted the house gone. Or, I rasped, watching the roof glow with firelight, he wanted the fire to cover his exit. Because even as the roof collapsed, I saw him, a shadow slipping along the elm's trunk, heading into the alley. And for the first time, I felt the game had only just started. The alley swallowed him. One blink he was there, a silhouette slipping along the fence line. The next, he was gone, like smoke sliding between boards. My legs moved before my head caught up. Martinez grabbed my shoulder, yanking me back from the flame-lit yard. Reyes, the house is a tinderbox. If you chase blind, you'll end up cooked. I coughed hard, lungs raw from the basement fumes. My eyes watered, But through the sting I saw the ember trail, bits of ash falling where his boots had brushed the fence. He's not gone. He wants me to follow. He always wants you to follow, Martinez snapped. That's the trap. Then we flip it, I said, pulling free. Perimeter units cut him north. We'll swing west. He can't vanish without burning something else. I barked into radio, voice rasping. Unit 9, suspect moving north through alleys. Lock down Juniper and Mason Cross. All eyes shop. Copy, 9, came back through static. We cut down a side street, the heat of the fire clawing our backs. The night smelled of burning wood and memory. I kept seeing him in my head, the shaved head, the smile, the way he'd said you still don't remember. Like he knew pieces of me I'd never told anyone. Martinez jogged beside me, rifle ready. He's tethering every move to your past. Childhood home. Foster house. What's next? I didn't want to say it, but the thought was already carved in me. Next place is Ridgeway. The park. That's half a mile, she said. Think he'd risk open ground? He hasn't risked anything yet, I said. He's scripted it all. And Ridgeway's where my voice snagged. Where my brother disappeared. Martinez's eyes flicked to me, quick and sharp. You never said you had a brother. Didn't think I did anymore. My throat felt like gravel. He ran off when we were kids. Or so they said. We cut across Juniper, past rows of shut-eyed houses. The chopper roared overhead, spotlight slicing alleys, hunting. Dispatch piped in, no visual on suspect. Perimeter tightening. We reached Ridgeway's chain-link entrance. The swings creaked in the night breeze. The old slide leaned like a drunk. The grass had grown wild, littered with bottles and syringes. But I saw it like it used to be, kids screaming with joy, ice cream dripping on hot asphalt. And the last time I saw my brother, standing at the far fence, staring at something only he could see. Then gone. Martinez pointed. North bench. You see that? I did. A figure sat hunched, elbows on knees. Hooded sweatshirt, shoulders wide. Not the suspect. Too still, too planted. Between his shoes, a tablet glowed faint blue. We moved closer, careful. My finger rested light on the trigger guard. 10 feet out, I saw the truth. It wasn't a man. It was a mannequin, dressed in thrift clothes. The tablet balanced on its lap played a loop of my academy graduation, me, smiling in a line of recruits. Son of a... Martinez muttered. The mannequin's chest bulged oddly. I leaned closer, squinting. Then I saw the wire. A heartbeat later, the tablet clicked louder than it should have. I dove, yanking Martinez down. The explosion ripped the bench apart, shrapnel screaming through the air. Dirt pelted my back. My ears rang like struck bells. We rolled behind the slide, coughing dust. Martinez swore, checking her arms for cuts. My vest had taken the brunt, but my left arm stung where shrapnel had grazed. I pressed it tight, grit grinding into the wound. Trap on trap, she growled. He's bleeding us. You okay? I nodded, though my hearing was still muffled. Through the haze, I saw movement at the far edge of the park. A man stepping into the open, calm, deliberate. The suspect. He raised his hands, empty, taunting. I leveled my weapon. Police. On the ground. He didn't run. He just smiled, same as before. Getting warmer, Daniel, he called, voice carrying clear. Almost there. Then headlights flared behind him. Another sedan screeched up. Doors popped. 2 masked figures stepped out, rifles raised. Cover fire tore the night, short, controlled bursts, forcing us flat. Martinez fired back, sparks snapping off their hood. But the suspect dove into the sedan, sliding across the seat like it had been choreographed. Tires screamed. They peeled off south. I rose, heart pounding, weapon tracking the taillights. Too far. Too fast. Gone again. Dispatch, suspect fleeing southbound Ridgeway, black sedan, 3 occupants, armed. I barked into the radio, voice raw. Shots fired, no officers down. Need airship on pursuit. The chopper swung, Spotlight lancing after the car. Sirens wailed closer. Units converged. Martinez spat dust, slammed a new mag in. He brought backup. This isn't just him. I nodded grimly. Means we're not chasing one ghost. We're chasing a crew. The chopper's voice crackled overhead. Suspect vehicle turning east on Willow. Speed 90. Units in pursuit. Martinez stood, chest heaving. He's escalating, Reyes. And he's tied every move to your past. Childhood home, foster house, brother vanishing, now Ridgeway. What the hell does he want from you? The question hung heavy, smoke curling in my lungs. I didn't answer. Because deep down, I feared I knew. He didn't just want me chasing. He wanted me remembering. And the next place he dragged us might be the one memory I'd buried deepest of all. The suspect's sedan vanished into Willow's darkness, but the echoes stayed, the smell of gunpowder in my throat, the firelight glow from Mason still painting the sky. My radio buzzed constant, overlapping voices, pursuit updates, unit positions, dispatch chatter. But all I heard was the one question Martinez had dropped into my chest like a stone. What does he want from you? We regrouped at the park's perimeter. Paramedics checked my arm, wrapped the graze, asked questions I didn't answer. My head was elsewhere. Ridgeway had been no accident. The mannequin wasn't just a scare tactic. It was theater again. Theater about me. Martinez came back from conferring with the perimeter sergeant. Vehicle ditched 3 blocks south. They switched cars. Again. Planned, I muttered. Every turn is mapped. She looked at me hard. Then mapped the next one. What's left from your past he hasn't touched? I hated the answer. It sat like a knife in my gut. The boy's home. St. Christopher's. Her eyebrows flicked. Where you were sent after Ridgeway? I nodded once. 6 months. Long enough to learn the taste of blood and bleach. Her jaw set. If he's staging there, he's accelerating. That place is condemned now, right? Yeah, I said, staring into the night. Which makes it perfect. We rolled quiet toward St. Christopher's. The building loomed at the end of Grafton, hulking against the moon. Windows bricked. Doors boarded. The old cross still clung to the roofline, crooked and rusted. Even from the street, I felt the weight pressing from inside, the stink of disinfectant, the sound of fists on plaster, the silence after lights out. Units staged wide. Floods were cut. We approached on foot, flashlights tight. The front steps were chained. But the side door hung open, padlock snapped clean. He wanted us inside. Martinez glanced at me. Same game. Same, I said, pushing the door with my shoulder. The hallway swallowed us. Paint peeled in sheets. Water dripped somewhere distant. My boots remembered the rhythm, heel to toe on warped wood. The smell of mildew curled up like a hand on my throat. A speaker crackled overhead, hidden in the vents. His voice slithered through. St. Christopher's, Daniel. I waited for this one. Martinez swung her light. Speakers again. I raised my own beam, catching black dots along the ceiling. Same Bluetooth rig. He'd seeded the whole building with his voice. You hated this place, he said. Didn't you? The prayers before dinner, the fists after. Do you remember the basement? The smell of the mop bucket? Do you remember the boy you left there? I froze. My breath hitched. He's lying. Is he? Martinez murmured. We moved deeper. The cafeteria stretched wide and empty, tables gone, only benches left like broken ribs. In the center sat another chair. On it, a small box with a blinking green light. My stomach dropped. Motion triggered, Martinez said. Could be recording. Could be worse. The speaker whispered, Open it, Daniel. Your brother left something for you. I clenched my teeth. He's playing me. But my hands still reached. I popped the latch. Inside, a Polaroid. My brother, 12 years old, grinning with a chipped tooth. And scrawled across the bottom in fresh ink, I remember you. The room tilted. My pulse hammered. He couldn't have that photo. That photo was in a shoebox buried with my mother's things. Locked away. Lost. Unless. Martinez touched my arm. He's digging deep. Personal. Too personal. Which means he's close, I said, scanning shadows. A noise from the kitchen. Metal clattering. We swung, weapons up. I advanced fast, kicking through the swinging doors. The smell of rust and mold smacked me. Pots dangled, swaying. On the counter, another tablet buzzed to life, screen glowing. A video played. My brother's face. Older, lined, eyes hollow. He looked straight at the camera. Daniel, if you're seeing this, he found you. Don't trust him. Don't trust. The screen cut to static. Martinez swore. That was real. That wasn't staged. My chest caved. He's alive. The speaker hissed again, smug. Almost there, Daniel. The truth isn't in the attic. It's in the basement. Where you left it. The basement door loomed at the back, same as years ago. I remembered the padlock, the cold stone steps, the whispers of kids sent down as punishment. My fists curled. Martinez watched me carefully. We don't play into it blind. We don't have a choice, I said. If my brother's alive. If, she cut in. Don't let him gut you with hope. But hope was already bleeding me dry. We descended. The air grew colder, wetter. Flashlight beams danced off concrete. The basement opened wide. In the center, another chair. And this time, a man sat in it. Not the suspect. Not a mannequin. A man, breathing, hood over his head, wrists bound to the arms. He lifted his face as we approached. And even through the bruises, even through the years, I knew him. My brother. Danny, he croaked. My flashlight trembled. Martinez's breath caught. The speaker above us purred. Good. Daniel. You found him. Now the game really begins. The sight of him split me in two. My brother, bound to a chair in the basement of St. Christopher's, looking like time had dragged him across glass. The years had carved his face, but the eyes, those were the same. Wide, dark, questioning. Danny, he rasped again. The sound hit me harder than the blast at Ridgeway. I hadn't heard that voice since the night he vanished, a boy swallowed whole by shadows. Now here he was, shackled like an exhibit. Martinez swept the corners with her rifle. Clear left, clear right. No hostiles in sight. She kept her voice level, but her shoulders were coiled tight. Reyes, don't move yet. Could be rigged. The speaker crackled, smug and close. Oh, it's rigged. Everything's rigged. But this one is special. Because you can't walk away, Daniel. Not from him. I scanned the room, forcing myself to see, not just feel. The chair was bolted to the floor. His wrists were bound with zip ties, not rope. Behind him, along the wall, I caught the gleam of copper wire feeding into a black box. My stomach turned cold. An IED. Crude, but lethal. Enough to paint the basement red. Explosives, I muttered. Trigger wired to the chair. Trip or timed? Martinez asked. Hard to tell from here, I said, squinting. The box had a blinking red LED. Not steady. Pulsing. Like a heartbeat. My brother shifted weakly, chains rattling. Danny, please. He said you'd come. The speaker interrupted, dripping satisfaction. Of course he came. That's the point. You never could resist saving someone who already chose their fate. I gritted my teeth. You wanted me here. Why? What's the end game? You don't see it. The voice laughed softly. It's family, Daniel. It always was. Martinez's gaze darted to me, sharp as glass. We need EOD in here yesterday. I keyed my radio, keeping my voice steady. Dispatch, Unit 9. Suspect staged possible IED in basement of St. Christopher's. Civilian bound. Request bomb squad, immediate. Copy 9, dispatch replied, tension in her voice. EOD en route, ETA 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Might as well have been 20 years. The speaker crackled again. You don't have 20 minutes. Tick, tock, Danny. Family doesn't wait. Martinez crouched, scanning the wires through her scope. Box is wired sloppy, but there's redundancy. He wants to stall us, maybe make us slip. We can't cut without knowing the trigger. My brother's eyes locked on mine, raw with fear. Don't leave me again. The words gutted me. Memories flooded, him at Ridgeway, staring at the fence, me too scared to follow. Him vanishing, me left behind. A lifetime of silence. And now he was here, bound, waiting for me to choose. Listen to me, I said, crouching so he could see my face. We're going to get you out. You hear me? You're not dying here. He shook his head, eyes wet. It's not me he wants. It's you. He told me. Shut up, the voice hissed from the speaker, venom now. Don't spoil it. Martinez flinched. He's listening live. Not a recording. I raised my voice. You've had your fun. Let him go. This is between you and me. No, the man snarled. This is you. This is the piece of you that broke. The piece you left behind. I'm just holding up the mirror. My brother's breathing quickened. Danny, I didn't leave. They took me. He took me. My pulse pounded in my ears. Who? Who took you? The speaker laughed, high and cruel. So close. You almost see it. Basement's just the prologue. The finale's upstairs. Martinez's jaw clenched. Reyes, he's baiting you. He'll blow this whole place if we charge. I weighed the seconds, the choices, the ghosts clawing at me. My brother trembled in the chair, whispering my name like it was both a prayer and a curse. The box blinked red, steady now, no longer pulsing. Martinez, I said quietly. If that goes solid, he's dead. Her lips pressed into a hard line. Then we cut his time in half. I stood, forced calm into my voice. All right. You want me upstairs? Fine. But if I go, he comes with me. Silence on the line. Then a chuckle. Brave words. But you're still the boy hiding under the bed, waiting for someone else to make the noise stop. Not anymore, I said, stepping closer to the chair. Martinez hissed. Reyes, don't. I slid my knife from my vest, angled it at the zip ties. My brother's eyes widened. Danny. Hold still, I whispered. The speaker's voice sharpened. Don't touch him. You touch him, we all burn. The LED on the box flared bright. Solid red. My gut twisted. It was live now. Martinez raised her rifle. Reyes, stop. It's armed. But my knife was already pressing down, teeth gritted, betting everything on one truth. If he wanted me upstairs, he wouldn't kill his leverage down here. Not yet. The zip tie snapped. My brother gasped, half free. The box began to beep. Fast. Louder. The sound of a countdown. And then, over the speaker, his voice, calm again, almost tender. Now let's see how much you really remember. The beeping drilled into my teeth. Sharp, insistent, the kind of sound that makes your hands shake even when you tell them not to. The LED on the black box burned steady. Martinez had her rifle on the ceiling speaker like she could shoot the voice out of the air. Don't touch him, the man purred. You touch him, we all burn. Hey, I said to my brother, forcing my voice down into the calm I save for jumpers and kids with scissors. Look at me. His eyes latched onto mine like a hook. Breathe with me. In, out. He tried. It came ragged, but it came. I took the second his breath bought me and looked past him. Copper wire ran from the box up the wall, stapled along an old conduit. Not toward the stairs. Toward the maintenance alcove. His earlier taunt echoed. Do you remember the basement? The smell of the mop bucket? I remembered the closet where the mop lived. I remembered hiding there to avoid a counselor's belt. I remembered a panel behind the slatted door where the PA and bells for the whole building hummed at night like a mechanical heartbeat. And I remembered Brother Carl losing his temper and kicking that panel so hard the morning bells never rang again. Martinez, I said, low. On me. 2 steps left. Cover the chair. If this pops, you drag him into that corner and use the pillar. Copy, she said, eyes never leaving the box. I slipped sideways to the slatted door. The smell hit like a memory. Damp cotton, bleach, old metal. The door stuck. I shoved, wood protesting. Inside, the panel was still there, painted gray, dented and patched, the old wires bundled like a snake. New wire cut across it, copper bright against the dust. The box on the chair wasn't freestanding. It was leaching power from an old building artery. The beeping climbed a register. My chest locked. I popped the panel cover and found the add-on he'd spliced in, black plastic taped into history, a little battery pack glued to a relay he shouldn't have trusted. I didn't need a schematic. I needed a throat to pinch. I put 2 fingers on the feed that didn't belong and tore. The basement held its breath. The LED died mid-blink. The beeping choked, hiccuped, and went silent. Martinez didn't exhale. If that was a decoy, then we'd already know, I said, and my knees tried to give. Move. I slid back to the chair, knife up again. You're okay, I told my brother. We're not done. The second tie went. The third. His hands sagged free and he grabbed my wrist like he was falling through ice. Danny, he said, voice breaking on the name. He said you wouldn't remember. I remember enough, I said, and cut his ankle ties. Above us, the speaker crackled. Gone was the purr. What came through was anger clipped into syllables. Clever. You used to hide there when the belt came out. Do you remember the prayers after? Martinez looked up at the grill like she could see his face. We're done listening to your sermons. Are you? He said, a smile finding its way back into his voice. Then come upstairs and prove it. No, I said, and waved Green and K9 in on a whisper. We're taking him out. He leaves the building, the man said lightly, and someone else dies. A lever works both ways. Bluff, Martinez snapped. But her eyes flicked to me, asking, what if he's got another chair in another basement? I thought of Lily's sneaker, of the way the purifier had coughed awake like a feral animal. He liked leverage. He liked redundancies. He'd already shown us a second sedan, a second voice, a second explosion. My mouth went dry. Green, I said, get him to the first landing and hold. No farther until I say. Green nodded, shouldered my brother's weight, and moved with a bouncer's gentleness. K9 ghosted ahead, nose reading stair air. My brother's heel scraped concrete. He hissed through teeth. He was here, Danny. He was. He's one of them. Which one? I whispered. Staff. Counselor. He called himself the caretaker, he said, each syllable shaking. Said he cleaned up messes the brothers didn't want on paper. The caretaker. A role, not a name. A shadow job that makes kids vanish from ledgers and rooms. The voice from the vents chuckled, as if he could hear my thoughts. You're getting warmer. We reached the landing. My brother's breath sawed. He sagged against the rail, eyes squeezed shut like light hurt. Green set him down, braced him, scanned the hall. Martinez covered, sight line slicing through shadows. The radio popped. EOD 8 minutes out, dispatch said. Perimeter holds. Airship has no movement on roof. Copy, I said. 8 minutes and a lifetime of bad choices. I crouched. Hey. I put a hand on my brother's shoulder. He flinched before he knew he didn't have to. I need you to tell me something only you and I would know. He blinked, confused and afraid I didn't believe the face attached to his voice. The coffee can, he whispered. We dug it up and you put your Hot Wheels in and I laughed because I thought bravery should be bigger than a toy car. I swallowed. The house on Hawthorne. The can on the counter. The note in my childish hand. Okay, I said softly. You're him. His fingers twisted in my sleeve like he was 7 again. He said Dad knew. He said Dad let him in. The words found a vein I'd been ignoring and cut it open. The key under the maple. The caution about noise. My father and his silences you could drown in. We'll talk about Dad when you can breathe, I said, because there wasn't room in my chest for that fire and this one. The speaker hissed, impatient now. Enough sentiment. Upstairs, Daniel. Green's jaw jumped. We can hold until EOD. He's not going to sit still, Martinez said. He lit Mason on fire and turned a park bench into shrapnel. He's going to force us up one way or another. As if on cue, a small pop bloomed in the cafeteria above, followed by the thud of something heavy falling. Smoke curled down the stairwell, lazy and poisonous. Go, I told Green. Take him to the doorway. Fresh air, not outside. If they see you cross, they'll know we called their bluff. Green nodded and hauled my brother up again, muscles bunched. He moved him like live ordnance, careful and fast, to the threshold where night air licked the mildew. K9 planted at their feet, eyes on me. I looked at Martinez. She didn't have to ask. She just said, "On you." We went up. The second floor was a corridor of ghosts. Our beams cut through old posters, a faded chart of chores, a crucifix askew. The caretaker's sound followed, always ahead, always to the left, then to the right, then in the vents, turning the building into a throat he could whisper down. We passed room 3. The door hung open now. The lock that had been theater downstairs lay on the floor like a dead insect. Inside, chalk dust coated everything. On the back wall, someone had written names in a child's hand. Some I knew. Some I'd tried to forget. 2 initials jumped out anyway, DR plus JR, scratched hard into plaster. A line drawn under them arrowed to a baseboard with a notch. Martinez caught the arrow with her light. You seeing this? I knelt, pried the baseboard with my knife, and found the cavity we'd carved as kids, our contraband cache where we hid pilfered candy and confessions. But it wasn't candy inside now. Printed photos spilled under my glove, me at my mother's grave, me outside the precinct, me walking to my car after a shift. Stapled to the bottom was a map of the city with circles around Hawthorne, Ridgeway, Mason, and one more, an X over a place that made my tongue go numb. Jesus, Martinez whispered. He's been tailing you for months. I stared at the X until my vision cleared. Not a place. A date and a place. Tomorrow. The precinct. The speaker took a breath with us. Remember yet, Daniel? You're planning something at my house, I said, looking up, or at my work. Pick which confession you want. He laughed. I'm planning both. Tomorrow is your birthday, is it not? Don't you want a celebration? I didn't answer. The plan clicked into a shape that made my skin crawl. St. Christopher's was a rehearsal. The finale would be public. EOD 2 minutes, dispatch said, unaware of the new ground tilting under us. We reached the end of the hall. The attic ladder gaped open, rope swaying. We'd seen this picture before and chose the basement. Now there was no below left to check. Smoke blurred the ceiling. The maple outside scraped the roof in the wind like fingernails. I set my foot on the first rung. Wait, Martinez said, fingers light on my sleeve. Don't give him your head first. I nodded, slid my mirror up instead, angled it into the opening. Attic, low, crowded, dusty. A single bulb burned in the center, hung by a wire. Under it sat a TV on a milk crate, blue screen casting that sick glow that makes everything look like a morgue. Next to it, another chair. Empty. A microphone taped to a broom handle aimed down at the ladder like an eye. He's not here, I said. He's broadcasting from somewhere else. Or from the roof, Martinez said, eyes cutting to the maple. Or from your past. I went up, slow. The plywood flexed under my knees. The bulb hummed. The TV fizzed, then snapped to life. The caretaker's face filled the screen for the first time, chalk pale, the shaved head we'd glimpsed, a crescent scar above the left eye. He leaned in, pixel hands on his pixel knees, as if we were children at story time. Hello, Daniel, he said, and hearing him with his mouth made my skin tighten. Do you remember me yet? I studied the scar, the set of his mouth, the gaze that took in everything and spent nothing. Somewhere behind that face was the boy who learned these halls in the dark. You were here, I said. You weren't staff. He smiled, something like pride in it. Finally. You were one of us, I said, feeling my brother's whisper grow a spine. You were one of the boys. His eyes warmed with approval. I was the one who never left. When you escaped, I made myself useful. They called me when a problem had to disappear. In time, a title stuck. Caretaker. I tasted metal. You took my brother. I kept him, he said. From the kind of ending he was sprinting toward. And from the kind your father arranged. My jaw clenched so hard it hurt. Say his name again. Say my father's name with your mouth, and we'll see if you can still chew. He chuckled. Noise. Daniel. Always noise with you. Here is the quiet truth. The key in the maple was your father's. He gave it to a man who came at night. He gave you that key when he showed you where to be quiet. You learned. You became a good officer. And now you are very useful to me. The attic felt 6 inches tall. Martinez's breath whispered at my shoulder. He's baiting you with Dad, she warned. He's showing me the next lock, I said, the words tasting like blood. I looked at the TV. Tomorrow. The precinct. What do you want? He leaned closer until pixels broke his face into squares. A story that ends the way it should have. Come home, Daniel. Bring your badge. Bring your father's silence. We'll trade them for the truth you ran from. Or, Martinez said, rifle steady on a screen that wouldn't bleed, we put you in cuffs and make you tell us now. He tilted his head. Tick-tock. Basement's not the only place I wired for memory. He lifted a remote into frame. Clicked. Somewhere below, a small whomp rippled the building. The floor quivered under my knees. Dust cascaded like snow. Enough, I said, and meant it in 8 directions. You touch one more kid, one more room, I end you. He smiled, sad, like he'd been hoping I'd say that for a long time. You should have said it when it mattered. The screen went black. EOD on site, dispatch said. Entry at your location. I climbed down, every rung a decision. In the stairwell, my brother looked up when I appeared, and inside those eyes that used to reflect mine, I saw the same thing he must have seen in me, a boy older than his years, a man younger than his scars. Danny, he said, don't go where he wants you to go. I have to, I said, but I won't go how he thinks. The smoke still leaked from the cafeteria above us, curling down the stairwell in lazy ribbons. The fire hadn't caught, but it was enough to remind everyone that this building wanted to collapse. The bomb squad hustled in, armor plates heavy, faces unreadable behind visors. They swept the basement first, clearing the box I'd gutted. One of them gave me a sharp nod when his detector chirped safe. But the attic, that was different. They found more wiring coiled along the rafters, bundles snaked through the insulation, capped with inert clay bricks painted black. Fakes. Decoys. The caretaker had wanted us sweating time, not detonating it. Theater again. By the time the all-clear rang out, my brother was shivering under a medic's blanket by the doorway. His wrists were raw from the ties. His voice was hoarse. But he refused the ambulance, refused to leave without me. Danny, he said, gripping my sleeve like he was afraid I'd ghost again, he's not done. He told me about tomorrow. About the precinct. I crouched, kept my face level with his. Then tomorrow we end it. Martinez watched from the corner, arms folded. She didn't say a word, but her eyes told me what her mouth didn't. This is too close. You're compromised. She wasn't wrong. But she wasn't right either. Compromised means broken. I didn't feel broken. I felt sharpened. We brought my brother to a safe house, 2 units on guard outside, a medic stationed inside. He fell asleep in seconds, curled under the blanket like he'd been waiting decades to let go. Martinez and I stood in the narrow kitchen. The hum of the fridge was the only sound. She leaned on the counter, watching me over the rim of a paper cup of burnt coffee. You gonna tell me the rest? She asked. The rest of what? Don't play dumb, Reyes. Your father. The key in the maple. The caretaker said it like a hymn. And your brother confirmed some of it. I stared at the linoleum, cracked into spiderwebs. My father's voice came back, low and careful. Noise is dangerous, Danny. Quiet saves lives. I thought of the nights he sat by the window, hands folded, listening for things only he could hear. My father kept things from us, I said finally. Meetings at night. Men I didn't know stopping by the house. I thought it was gambling, maybe worse. Mom pretended it wasn't happening. When my brother vanished, I blamed her for not asking questions. I blamed myself for not following him. But maybe the caretaker's right. Maybe Dad gave that key away. Maybe he traded silence for survival. Martinez set her cup down. And you? You've been carrying that silence your whole life. I didn't answer. The hum of the fridge filled the space instead. At dawn, Command convened a task force briefing. The precinct's conference room smelled of sweat and old coffee. Maps of the city sprawled across the table, circles drawn around Hawthorne, Ridgeway, Mason, St. Christopher's. And at the center, our precinct, marked with a red X. Captain Morales paced at the head, jaw tight. The suspect has escalated each site, using our officer's personal history as staging ground. We have credible intel he intends to strike here. He wants us reactive. We won't be. Eyes turned to me. I hated it, but I didn't flinch. Reyes, Morales said. You've been his focus. You know his rhythm. Where does he hit us? I studied the map, tracing the lines the caretaker had already carved. Not the cells. Not the motor pool. Too obvious. He'll go for upstairs. Squad room. Somewhere public enough to make it a show. Morales nodded grimly. Then we make the squad room a trap. We staged it like theater, because that's what he wanted. Officers in plain clothes scattered around the room, armed but invisible. Bomb techs swept every corner. Snipers set up across the street. The air was tight with waiting. I walked the hall, feeling the weight of every step. My father's silence was in my ears, heavy as a helmet. Martinez shadowed me, eyes sharp, jaw clenched. "You sure about this?" she asked quietly. "No," I admitted. "But he wants me visible. He won't come if I hide." She gave a humorless smile. "You're good at being bait." I didn't smile back. Noon struck. The squad room hummed with false normalcy, phones ringing, keyboards clacking, conversation staged. I stood near the center, badge catching the fluorescent light. That's when the first phone rang. Not mine. The desk phone nearest me. Its light blinked red, though the line wasn't connected. I picked it up anyway. "Hello, Daniel," the voice said. Calm, close, like he was in the next cubicle. "Happy birthday." The hairs on my neck rose. Martinez's eyes narrowed across the room. She tapped her earpiece. Units were tracing. "You could have called any day," I said into the receiver. "Why today?" "Because today you're old enough to hear the truth. Old enough to understand what your father gave me. And what you owe me." My pulse pounded. "You're outside, aren't you?" A chuckle. "Look up." I did. Across the street, behind mirrored glass, a red laser dot blinked once, then vanished. A camera. Watching us. Recording everything. "Smile, Daniel," the caretaker whispered. "The finale's begun." The line went dead. Before I could lower the phone, an explosion rocked the motor pool below. The floor shook. Alarms wailed. Officers shouted, scrambling to posts. Smoke billowed up the stairwell like a black flag. Martinez was already moving, rifle raised. "Diversion," she shouted. "He's coming in now." And through the chaos, I knew she was right. He wasn't outside anymore. He was inside. And he was coming straight for me. The blast from the motor pool rattled the bones of the building. Plaster dust rained from the ceiling tiles, smoke rising up the stairwell in choking waves. Fire alarms howled, red strobes splashing the squad room like blood. Officers scrambled to their stations, weapons drawn, comms bursting with crosstalk. But in the noise, I felt it, the thread he'd been pulling since Hawthorne, since Ridgeway. He was here. Inside. "Lock the stairwell," Morales bellowed, his voice cutting through chaos. "Containment on every exit." Martinez slid up next to me, rifle tight to her shoulder. "He's coming for you, Reyes. Don't stand in the open." I shook my head. "If I hide, he ghosts again. He wants me exposed. Let him see me." She cursed under her breath, but didn't argue. The phone on my desk rang again. Its red light blinked in rhythm with the strobes. I picked it up without hesitation. "Daniel," The caretaker's voice oozed through. Come. Patient. Do you hear it? The sound of your house falling apart. You're not burning this place, I said, eyes scanning the smoke for movement. This isn't your theater. He chuckled. Oh, but it is. Your father's silence built these walls. And now you'll bury your truth inside them, just like he did. I slammed the receiver down and raised my voice so the whole squad room could hear. He's inside already. He's here for me. Keep your sectors. The words steadied me. I was done chasing. He'd come to me. The lights flickered. When they steadied, a figure stood in the doorway at the far end of the squad room. Shaved head, eyes sharp, movements fluid like he'd rehearsed every step. The caretaker. Officers swung rifles toward him, but he held his hands wide, empty. Easy, he said, voice steady even without the speaker system. I only need one man. His gaze locked on me. Drop to the ground. Morales barked. The caretaker ignored him. He stepped further into the room, boots crunching on glass from the blast tremor. Daniel. You remember now, don't you? You remember the nights your father gave me the key. You remember the silence he demanded. And you remember your brother crying in the basement. The squad room went taut, rifles trembling on their marks. But I saw it, the vest under his jacket, bulging unnatural. Wires trailing from a dead man's switch in his fist. Bomb! I shouted. Everyone back, hold fire! Gasps rippled. The caretaker smiled. Smart boy. You always did see patterns faster than the others. Martinez's eyes locked on mine. What now? I raised my hands, stepping forward. You don't want them, you want me. So take me. He tilted his head, studying me. You've learned to sound brave. But you're still the boy who hid behind noise. Come closer. I did. Each step felt like walking into a grave I'd dug myself. The heat of the motor pool fire licked up through the floor. Smoke clawed at my throat. But my eyes never left his. What's the end game? I asked. You kill me, you're a ghost again. You kill all of us, you vanish into smoke. What do you want? He leaned forward, voice low, almost intimate. I want you to break the silence. I want you to tell the world what your father was. What he gave me. What he gave up. His thumb tapped the trigger, casual as a man drumming on a table. Confess. Daniel. Say it out loud. Or we all burn. The squad room held its breath. I swallowed glass. My father's voice echoed, Noise is dangerous, Danny. 4 years I'd obeyed. But now the caretaker's eyes burned into me, daring me. My father, I said, my voice raw, wasn't the man I thought he was. He gave you the key. He gave you access. And he let kids vanish under his silence. The caretaker smiled wide, triumphant. Yes. Louder, Daniel. I forced the words out, each one heavier than the last. My father was complicit. He knew what happened in those basements. He let it happen. Whispers surged in the squad room. The caretaker's smile flickered, almost soft. There it is. The truth. For a second, I thought he'd release the trigger. That maybe the confession was all he wanted. But his hand tightened instead, knuckles white. No more noise, he whispered. Only quiet. And then Martinez moved. Smooth, fast, surgical. A single shot cracked the air, punching through his wrist. The dead man's switch spun free, clattering across the floor. Another officer dove, scooping it up with trembling hands. The caretaker roared, clutching his bleeding wrist, lunging toward me like an animal. I met him halfway. Fists, elbows, years of anger all colliding in one violent blur. We crashed into desks, papers scattering like broken memories. He fought with the desperation of a man who'd built his identity on control. But I wasn't a boy anymore. I slammed him down hard, pinning him with my knee. His breath came ragged, blood painting his sleeve. It was always going to be you, he spat. Your father's silence. Your brother's tears. And now your noise. I leaned close, voice steady. The silence ends with me. Cuffs snapped onto his wrists, slick with blood. Officers dragged him upright. The room exhaled as one, the alarm still howling, the motor pool still burning, but the weight of him finally contained. Martinez wiped sweat from her brow, eyes locked on me. "You okay?" I looked at my hands, at the blood, at the man who had haunted every corner of my life. "No," I said honestly. "But I'm done being quiet." Outside, sirens screamed and news choppers circled. Tomorrow, the world would hear everything, the truth about the caretaker, about my father, about the silence that had cost too much. And for the first time in decades, I felt like maybe, just maybe, the noise was mine.